This is my first time in the silos. Very happy to be here. It's very exciting.
Every artist has got their own gallery, and it's not the typical white box. It's a round tube that goes up into the sky.
Like even the way the thing looks like the pipes of a church organ.
I do adapt to the space. That's what I think installation artists are about.
Sort of a network of silos in the space right here, and also thinking about what exactly is a solid state. Any solid state is actually very temporal, right?
Where installation art ends is where architecture begins.
I'm Kelley, and the name of my artwork is Distensions of Memory, Not to Scale. In 2015, I started this piece, and it keeps evolving. The work's sort of about with memory. Sometimes we distort things, sometimes we minimize them, and it's also a cross between Rapunzel and Rumpelstiltskins, and I keep editing it ongoing like memory, where we constantly rework our memory.
My name is Stuart Vreeland. My artwork is called Guns and Roses. It's shotgun shells and wine corks. It's down in Louisiana at our farm there. And I kept finding garbage cans full of shotgun shells. We've got to be able to make a portrait of America out of that. The corks are not unlike the shape and the proportions of a formal military headstone. Some are my brother-in-law's winery, some are a friend's winery, and it makes beautiful shadows on the wall. Red America, it's blue America, and it's wine drinking America too.
I'm Jeff Shore.
I'm John Fisher, and our piece is called Solid State.
It's a site-responsive projection room. It's in response to the actual silo space.
This is the collaboration we've been doing for many, many years. I basically work on electronics and programming that generate audio to support Jeff's visual.
After the site visit, I responded by building a freestanding projection, the shape of the silo. The silos generated the art.
My name is Sterling Allen. I'm from Austin, Texas, and I have two installations that are both untitled. The first one is comprised of a variety of objects, materials, and things that I've made at home. The materials I gathered at thrift stores, side of the road. The second silo, which is made up of all this found material, these strings, cords, yarns. There's nods back and forth between the two. In some ways, I'm very comfortable here in terms of there being like elements of the architecture that are present and loud. I'm super excited by that stuff, so more of an opportunity than a hindrance.
My name's Alex Larsen. The name of my piece is a residue of a life steeped in its own liquid. The boats in the space and being able to walk around them 360 degrees and see the shadows created from the lighting, creating drawings on the wall with the lines of the boats and the oysters is kind of what I was going for. The round room of the silo really lends itself to a drawing created around the whole thing and these multiple layers and overlapping lines and shadows, implying a flood or a high tide that has risen and since gone back down.
My name is Fred Spaulding, and my art piece is Stack for Houston Sculpture Month. I work with bricks, so I take them apart and rebuild them over and over again, and I've been doing that for about 30 years now. Each individual brick is like a bit of memory or a little piece of information, and to me the bands are like a network that connects them all together. Thinking about the collection and the diversity of bricks, that helps to make the structure stronger, just like in our society, how different shapes and sizes and types of people make our society stronger.
My name is Michael Sean Kirby, and my piece is called Tapesto. Tapesto is a play on the word tapestry of life. It's a bit of an homage to the history of sculpture, an homage to change. I'm changing, we're changing, the silos is changing. Space is very challenging and very inspiring, and I'm honored to have a piece here in this Sculpture Month Houston.
Hey, I'm Calise Blanchard. My art piece is called LG plus LG. Some recent travels of mine have taken me to Mexico and Egypt. Both places have these really awesome pyramids. These pyramids kind of supply me with the same fascination I've always had. And so what I was hoping to do here is just kind of provide this archaeological site. You duck into this tomb and you're kind of uncertain about where you are because the in and outside are so very different. But the object that's inside is imposing, somewhat ominous, and takes up more space than you're comfortable with.
I'm Cody Arnall. The name of my piece is Waiting So Long. The piece is a drop ceiling cut specifically for the silo, and it's hung about 4 feet off the ground. So you're kind of met with a horizon line. Creates a confusing encounter for people approaching it. They're invited to go under it or around it. There's a medical tie. There's also an academic institution tie. I'm a professor at Texas Tech, and I spend time under those ceilings a lot.
Hey, I'm Jeff Forster, and my piece is actually right around the corner here, called Shift Structure Column. I was actually commissioned to make a substantial planter for a museum, because I do a lot of repurposed materials, so like repurpose the mold for the column. I collect glaze waste from my students. I was so interested in the shape and like what else it could become. So the idea was to build sort of this ruin, so a reference to like history and tying directly into the architecture here and the history with the silos.
Nathaniel, Donnett. I have 3 pieces here today. I did a backpack exchange. I gave students new backpacks for old backpacks, used the backpacks as material. What I'm doing is using the title as a solid piece, but I also deconstruct the works into like fragments. So they are solid, but at the same time, they are broken up. And so the entry points that I think is important is the materials that I use that people are familiar with. And in some ways, I transform the materials.
My name is Adela, Andea, and the artwork that I created for the silos is liminal entropy. I don't consider myself a sculptor, so I create installation art based on units that come from my studio, and then I assemble them in the space because I need to work with the architecture of the building. And I have strong feelings about is how I feel about nature. As this romantic vision of creating a garden or going hiking, well, that's not what nature is going to be in the future. My focus is on new technology and how nature will be perceived in the future. So it's an idea, it's a concept.
I'm Bennett.
I'm Patrick Renner.
And our piece is AI, Artist Integrity. We're doing a performance and it's a recreation of a work that we did 19 years ago. It's very site specific.
It's activated by a seesaw that was taken from Don's yard up in New York. We created a massive obelisk form that's inserted into one of the 2 silos that are working in tandem.
We made the work, but the viewer will finish the completion of the work.
I'm John Walker, and my piece is called The Scrying Pool. It's a gazing pond that's 12 feet wide and the light's 40 feet high. The purpose of the piece is having a totally internal, non-material experience that your brain creates out of the stuff. And you'll think you see things, but the moment you actually look at them and focus, it just turns back into a floor and water again. And your brain starts to kind of play with the imagery. So you never know what you're going to see in there. Seeing something other than what's there, right? It's like fortune telling, telling the future. Who knows what you'll see?
This show is really special, and it's all a credit to Volker.
Thank you, Volker. You're awesome. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Volker.
And he's a great cheerleader and just massive support. So thank you, Volker.
Thank you, Volker. This has been an experience I will never forget.
I'm so impressed with the other artists in this exhibition.
It's been a really great experience.
Thanks y'all for coming out and seeing what we've got.
It's an honor to be a part of the show at the Silos.